This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
From NFL quarterback to Hollywood to the mayor's office, and now behind the mic at KXEX, this is the Alan Autry Show. No retreat.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
What the hell's going on out here? Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody. That the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
So, 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable. We are live.
You're listening to the Alan Autry Show on the best talk in town. Talk Radio 1550 KXEX.
And welcome to Alan Autry No Retreat. It is Big Monday. The mamas and the papas says you can't trust that day, but you can absolutely trust that day if you tune in to KXEX 1550 from 12 to 1 p.m.
America.
Because most of the time you get old Alan Autry here. Oh, did I just speak myself in the third person? I hate people who do that. You got me. I'm not going to say that. Well, don't you hate
Third
that, Guillermo?
person.
Yeah. That is not good.
I do that on my show, though. I refer to myself.
Okay.
I like talking to
Well, let
myself.
me introduce you. Guillermo Moreno. I mean, y'all know. You know the voice. You know the face. If you're watching on social media. If you're listening on radio, you know that inimitable voice. That's the founder of KXCX, really. I mean, in terms of talk radio.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
got that wild idea. How many years ago?
5.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5.
It's been 5 years of bliss. Huh? No regrets whatsoever.
Zero regrets. Just maybe about 1,550 of them. 1,550 regrets. Yeah, I got. That's about the amount of regrets I have.
So much more time to go.
Listen. I'll
truly,
be here.
What better place to be with more action, more excitement, more, I'm going to say importance in a certain perspective than to have your talk show in the midst of all of this stuff going on politically in this world and the big change, the transformational changes going on, both culturally, politically. And
That's a very good point.
You've got a show in the midst of all this stuff that you can go out and give your opinion on things.
That's such a good point. I remember early on in my radio career, it was after Trump was elected, and there was never a dull moment, but it was always just Trump-centered news. Now, I mean, you just have local news, county, statewide. Everything is just it's on hyper overdrive. Everything is, and I don't know if just we're covering a lot more aspects of it, but it is. But it can be exhausting.
No,
Alan.
I think a lot's happening. I don't think it's your imagination. I don't think it's just a lot's
happening.
A lot is happening. I mean, big stuff. Our economy has never been where it's been. We've never had a time where we've had 8 million people that we have no idea who they are that's come into this country the last 2 years. You didn't have a war raging over in the Ukraine, that could ignite into a nuclear war at any time. You've never had the social challenges to our societal norms that are such well-funded with such power. You've never had, DAs all over the country saying we're going to start rewarding criminals and punishing law-abiding citizens. The bad part is a lot of it's negative. You got to search for a good story, but I got one real quick.
Oh, thank God.
Did you hear about that little girl that walked out in the woods? I forget where it was. I'm not going to get buried in the details. Bottom line, folks, you may have heard about this. Little girl, I think about 3 or 4 years old, somewhere in America. Again, it doesn't matter. But she walked out into the woods, a few miles out in the woods, and nobody knew where she was.
Oh, my gosh.
For a long time, 3 and 2 dogs. Well, they found her. And how they found her, they came upon her, they found her. She's asleep with her head on one of the dogs who's laying down and becoming like a pillow for the little 3-year-old girl. And the other dog was standing guard.
Wow.
And does that just, they
Wow.
say a dog is a man's best friend. Well, apparently it's a little 3-year-old girl's best friend.
How long was she out there?
Quite a while. I mean, I have to check. I don't know,
Wow.
but it was enough for people to go. I don't know if it was days. Yeah, you can look it up.
Wow.
But I mean, that's
special.
In the midst of all this stuff, we got to think there's things happening that warms the heart and can take our mind off of this stuff.
And the power of God.
Oh, there you go.
There
you go.
Those 2 dogs and God.
And dogs, you just sitting there sleeping. Hey, how about our dogs, man?
Yeah,
Talking about dogs.
Yeah, go Bulldogs.
How about our dogs? They laid a walloping on Kent State and then didn't make the coaches' top 25. Can you believe that? That's discrimination.
I thought they
against
did.
Not only the Bulldogs, but the entire Valley. I'm tired of it, Guillermo.
Well, what's the difference between
I put up with that as mayor. I put the discrimination in Sacramento federal government. Now they're going at
But what does the coaches have to do with the AP?
Well, they have a coaches poll, an AP poll. Maybe Jeremy can pull up the AP poll. I don't know.
I think in the AP we're 25.
We're 25 in one of them.
AP.
But everybody looks at
the coaches? Really? I didn't know that.
Well, they're supposed to know more.
Yeah, we're 25.
Not apparently. We're number 25
AP.
On the AP. The coaches are supposed to know more, but I hate to pick on somebody, but quickly before we get back to Bulldogs for a little bit, and then we'll get on to the hard news.
You can talk about Deion?
Well, no. I'm on the Deion train. I think he's a good man. I think he's going to have to be humbled a little bit and sandpapered off a little bit. But I think he's around to stay. I tell you, he hasn't had a chance to recruit yet. So, but anyway, let me go.
But is he?
Let me get real quick. I got to pull out this Josh McDaniels, the coach of the Raiders. And listen, far be it from me. I played pro football, and it's hard. Derek Carr, apparently, they were playing Carolina Panthers. They were booing Bryce Young off the field, and apparently they have a shot of Derek Carr shaking his head and saying something to his teammate. We found out what he said later. He said, man, these people, they don't know how hard it is to play quarterback. I get that. It was too hard for me in the NFL. That's why the NFL stood for not for long for old Autry here. They made an actor out of me in a hurry. But Josh McDaniels, bless his heart, he's a great assistant coach. He's the one that got Brady. I mean, Brady swears by him. Everybody that's had him as a position coach raves about him. But he's failed a couple of times as a head coach. And what he did yesterday doesn't help his cause as a head coach. They're down by 8. Okay, the Raiders down by 8. They're on the 19-yard line, I believe, with about
12 seconds.
About 4 minutes to go.
Oh, 4 minutes though.
So
okay.
They decide they're going to kick a field goal. And so, okay, I'm going, you only 8 points down. You score now. You only got 4 minutes. Well, something happens. There's a penalty. So they get to keep the drive going. They get to the 9-yard line with 2 minutes and 12 seconds. They're down by 8 on the 9-yard line, 4th down. So all you need there is a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
And you tied it up. He kicks a field goal. So the other team gets the ball back. They run it down, and Las Vegas gets the ball back, but I think it's on their 30-yard line or so with 12 seconds to go. And and afterwards he said, well, we needed to score twice. And it's like, you've had time to think about this, Josh.
You scored twice.
You didn't. You needed to score and get an extra point, tie it going into overtime. And the internet's just all over it. But that's the kind of stuff, I'm telling you, that's the kind of stuff that it becomes not for long for a head coach. That's the stuff that gets you fired. And I'm not picking on him. He seems to be a fine young man, but you cannot make mistakes like that.
Coach Prime.
And Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
I knew
Raiders. Raiders.
Didn't you kind of know that was coming with the Oregon Ducks, though?
That
was the real deal.
You knew the fall was going to be so hard.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen for Deion Sanders to lose.
Did you see that Oregon coach before the game? That coach, I forget his name for Oregon. He didn't say a word all week. Nothing about Deion. All the pomp and circumstance surrounding Deion and all the glasses. Didn't say a word at all. Nothing. And then before the game, they saw the switch turn on the guy. And one of the ESPN reporters says, can we listen to your pregame talk? He goes, yeah, sure. Come on. He gets in there and he unloads, man. He's there. Veins are bulging. Spit's flying. You know, we don't play the game in Hollywood. We play it on grass. We don't go for clicks. We go for wins. There, and he just got them going, and they went out there. And, you had a hot Heisman Trophy quarterback, Bo Nix, and it
was a beatdown.
Wasn't even a contest.
It was a good old-fashioned beatdown. But listen, like you said, football's – I've never played football. My mom didn't allow me to play football. She says, hey, why don't you – when I wanted to play, she said, we got to find you a position where you just don't get tackled. What about the guy that throws the ball?
Well, she didn't want you to get hurt, get hit in the head, and have that CTE.
Very true. Very true.
I don't know what happened because I got hit in the head and I'm behind this mic. That explains it. But you.
But me, there's no explanation.
There's no explaining that. Did you fall off a motorcycle or your bike like Biden or something?
I got hit by a tennis ball.
But go ahead.
Doubles.
I'm sorry.
Listen, college football, as we've learned, is about money.
Oh.
Big money. Oh. Deion Sanders doesn't have to win. He's already won. I was reading an article. I think it's like $90 million already.
Yeah.
In just that Colorado is going to essentially be between merchandise, television. I mean, $90 million.
How do you fire $200 million a year for your program, even if they're like 4 and 10?
Yeah, you can't.
Oh, Deion, you're doing great.
Yeah,
you haven't had a bowl appearance in the 8 years you've been here. But
we have the most social media likes.
We got more
all
money.
College football.
That's a great point. You remember I said on this show and you laughed last week? I said there's going to be the way this is going, because amateur sports, college football is an amateur sport. It's just like the AAA of major leagues. They're getting paid now. It's a pro sport. It really is.
Yeah.
And true. I said there's going to be a time where a athlete is going to turn pro, a football player, and take a cut in pay.
Mm-hmm.
And we laughed. Did you see what Shadur, is that his first name? Prime son, Shakur Sanders, is going to make next year, they project?
No.
$10 million on his NIL, name, image, and likeness.
He can't get that starting as a quarterback. Huh?
Well, you don't know. I mean, he could, but he is a well-known commodity that they're paying for right now in college. He's in the middle of that bubble, which everybody's looking at, these kids.
Yeah.
And he could very easily, and that's why Prime said, he's not turning pro next year. He's not going to turn pro.
Yeah.
And I'm going, oh my God, why wouldn't he turn pro? Why is he saying that with such certainty? He doesn't need to turn pro. He can stay in college and make more money right now and have a crappy season and still make money. I mean, that's where this stuff is.
$10 million.
$10 million.
As a college kid, I don't know what I would have done with $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, I would have gotten into a lot of trouble. No, really.
Yeah.
In fact,
I would have gotten into a lot of trouble.
Well, I thank God that I didn't get what I wanted in Hollywood. If I would have got the money in the early 80s,
yeah,
that's when I was in Hollywood in my so-called prime, my prime, and would have had that kind of money, oh gosh, that'd be at the cemetery in Fresno right now if there was enough left for me to bury. I mean, it was, sometimes God protects you, from the things you really want until he can get through to your heart and your brain what you really need, not what you want. And then sometimes he gives you what you want, like he did with me, in certain instances, not all the money, but some stuff that I thought I wanted to show me what I really needed.
Yeah.
And you just hope that when God takes you on that little journey that you keep your eyes open, your heart open, and the lesson is not so dire that you hurt yourself permanently or somebody else around you. You're drinking, drunken driving and stuff like that. I think of all the times I got behind the wheel of a car, not just me, but other people in there. And he protected me from that. He protected me from not letting me get that role in North Dallas 40 that Mac Davis got, that I was so right for. I was devastated when I didn't get it. It was the worst day of my life. And I look back and God was protecting me. Like you said, if you had that money, most people do not use that kind of instant wealth, although Shakir's been around that wealth.
Yeah.
His dad's been rich for a long, long time. He's been in the spotlight and seems to be, he and his other brother seem to be very well adjusted for that spotlight. Very humble.
Yeah.
I mean, confident and humble. Now, I think that says something about Prime and their mothers.
Yeah. And did you hear why Coach Prime said he would not coach in the NFL?
What was that?
He said because he didn't want to deal with players who would just collect a paycheck and not perform. just there for the paycheck and not perform. Which goes to your theory of there's just too much money now.
I believe that Prime says he won't coach pro now.
Oh, yeah, he's going to. No,
but
without a doubt.
Flash forward, the circumstances change. Hey, we're going to take a break, but I know we haven't heard from Howard Dean in a while, have we? Well,
he's still in the house?
Is Howard, I know he listens to the show, watches social media. It's great to have Howard still around. Well, one more time, Howard, are you happy to be with us? All right, let's take a quick break. We come back.
You got deep in there.
I see we got Clint on the line. Clint Eastwood. Well, we'll be talking to Clint when we come right back. Don't go away.
Man, that strike is...
The UAW?
Do you want Trump to show up?
This is unprecedented. Having presidents interject themselves into a private
why, right?
Well, of course. But which side gets you the most mileage. I mean, if you make it as political calculation, I don't know how many people want to see president walking the picket line. I mean, I'm all for the worker, but there's things going on that you're not privy to.
Well, now it's 46%?
Who knows?
I thought negotiation is you come closer together, not further apart.
But you just think if you set that precedent. Today, it's the president clearly taking the line with a side on a private company, trying to work out, which, hey, negotiations between workers and administrations or owners, if you will, of companies is nothing new. Those strikes happen, you wait it out, and they work it out. And usually you have presidents saying, well, we hope for the good of the country that they will work this thing out. And then if it drags on and on and on and on, and the health of the country is at stake, then the president may take some more aggressive action to get the two sides to come to an agreement. But this early in the game to say, I'm on your side and I'm going to go walk the picket line. And we're ready to come back anytime.
All right, here we go.
This hour of the Alan Autry Show is sponsored by Sinlaw, the most realistic artificial grass in the Central Valley.
And welcome back to Alan Autry. No Retreat on Big Monday with Guillermo Moreno. One other local thing we just want to touch on here. Guillermo just whispered in my ear, not knowing it happened, that Donnie Arax, coach out of Bullard High School, is no longer the coach. Yeah. A legendary coach. 26 years there. Do you know any of the details behind that?
I don't want to speculate, but I know there was an incident, a locker room incident. I don't want to speculate, but it's devastating to hear a pillar of the community. And I would classify, I know a lot of people don't think so, but it's just tough. There's more. People make mistakes if you made a mistake or not. And especially when you're coaching, you're around kids. I mean, it's tough to be perfect.
All I've heard about Donnie, I've met him occasionally there. Good guy, tough coach, but I've never heard players badmouth him at all. I mean, he's won championships there, and he's one of those old school coaches. Again, I don't know the details either. It's just, I'm with you. You get a fixture like that on the local community in high school football, a shaper of young men, and he steps away.
I think it's a big loss to Bullard.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens on the details on that. All right. Every stinking year, it seems like we go through this exercise, same old thing. If Congress doesn't pass a budget, the country's going to shut down. The sky's going to fall. It's going to be a worldwide catastrophe of which America will never be able to recover from. Devastation that is beyond the imagination. I mean, the hyperbolic terms that are used talking about if the country has to shut down. I'm going to say something right now. Seriously, we need to know. I need some evidence. Let it shut down. Let it shut down because I smell BS.
Big time.
What's your thoughts on that? I smell I smell Y2K all over this thing. And by the way, you got money to spend. You're just saying you can't fund everything. We'll prioritize. And I never thought I'd say this, but what is logically wrong with Matt Gaetz's proposal that you take each department and vote on to what level you're going to fund it, starting with the military? I just don't get it, because I tell you one thing, they don't get a handle on this spending. There's going to be a shutdown. And you who's going to shut it down? This deficit is going to shut this country down, and may shut it down permanently if you're talking about this country being an economic superpower around the world. What's your thoughts?
You ever heard of eyes gloss over type money? When there's just, when you throw out numbers that are so big, people have never realized anything like that, your eyes gloss over. So when you talk about the federal government, and you talk about how much money they spend, the trillions of dollars, people don't get that, because we don't have trillions of dollars, right? We've never seen $1 trillion. So it's, your eyes gloss over with that amount of money. But here's the bottom line. I think these debt ceilings and the government shutdown, it's like a holiday now. Every year, it's a holiday. We not in the sense where we get to celebrate and get the day off, but it's yearly now. This is a theatrical event, right? And it's the same talking points.
And I've seen the movie enough times. I'm bored.
And it's horrible, right? The Democrats are always saying, "Oh, we need to fund essential things like women's health care and the kids and the puppies."
Why don't they put that before Congress, before their bodies, the Senate and the House, and vote on it?
Well, yeah, but
it has to be all of it at one time with a continuing resolution.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Let's just kick this tin can down the road another month. Well, the interest on this debt is going to be more than our gross domestic product.
Yeah.
That has never happened, Guillermo.
Do you feel
that the interest on this deficit, are you putting your mind around this, is going to be more for the first time in history? The interest on what we owe and have to pay is going to be more than our total domestic product output.
That's insane.
How do you survive like that? And
you don't.
And you just wrote another check for $25 billion to the Ukraine, and you told Taiwan, "Don't worry about it. China invades you. We got your economic back." Oh, really? How?
Do you feel like how does the saying go? It's the quiet before the storm. Do you feel that there's something coming?
Oh, you talk about it says in the Bible, you look out over the ocean, you see those dark, dark storm clouds coming your way. Lightning, thunder. You probably can make a determination that it's going to hit you and it's going to rain on you. It's coming. The storm is coming your way and it's going to hit you. And yet we see this storm coming, and it's like, and bless his heart, if Matt Gaetz hadn't fiddle farted around and ruined his reputation by just being goofy a lot of the time, he's telling the truth. Him and that group of five that are kind of holding out is, but again, what happens? Well, I tell you why they don't want it shut down, because Congress wants to get paid. Those high-paid senators and the House and all of their cronies, they want to get paid. The deep state wants to get paid, man.
Yeah, we don't want them to have to get gold bars from foreign governments, so I get it. And we should pay them. We should pay them. I agree. I was running, all right? Now you're going to think I'm crazy. Again, I was running. I was just thinking.
Running? Mayor?
No,
that's what I hear.
Yeah, maybe later. I was running, and I was thinking about Hunter Biden. Ask me why I was thinking about Hunter Biden while I was on my run. I saw you check your clock. Like, man, how long is this rant going to go for?
I am not checking for that. I just want to make sure I give you all the time you need.
Look at this.
That's why. You assume something. You assume.
This is how I know when you take me seriously. You look me in the eyes.
No.
And you wait for something to come out of it. When you don't take me
seriously. Get for looking in your eyes. The way we're set up in the studio, I have to turn my old neck about 90 degrees to the right. I go home. I got to put an ice pack on it, an 8-pack.
Here we go.
Turning to look at Guillermo. Look at this. People on social media
say that. We got to send you to our workers' comp doctor now.
You got to go to a chiropractor 4 times a week just to do this show. But go on, make your point. You're running. You're thinking about Hunter Biden.
Yeah,
which is scary to think about. Go ahead.
I was thinking about Hunter Biden.
All right.
And I was thinking, why do our whatever you want to call it, why do people in charge of the United States at whatever given point in time, why do they have to take bribes from other governments, right? Why was Hunter Biden put in that situation? Why was Senator Menendez placed in that situation? Why are countless other Americans placed in the situation that we don't know about, paying for influence? So I came up with a bright idea that'll cut any other future American. Doesn't matter where you are in the bureaucracy or how high up you are in the Oval Office. I figured out a way where they don't have to take foreign money and be beholden to China, Ukraine, Russia, anybody. You want to hear it out?
Yeah. Oh, well, of course.
All right, so this is what you do. This is what you do.
I'm
Okay.
waiting on the edge of my seat while I check my phone here.
Why'd you check your emails? What if we did this? They solicit the bribe, right? They prove to us that the bribe is hence on its way or coming, and they go directly to the federal government, and we will match whatever that bribe is. You know how you do the phone-a-thons, and there's radio stations like K-Love that do the matching gift? Call right now, and your donation of $2 will turn into $4, or 50 will turn into 100. What if we, the government, the American government, will match whatever country is bribing you? If we had done this, the amount of money we would be saving would probably be astronomical. So I am all for giving Hunter Biden bribe money. In fact, even matching it or doubling it. If he comes to us, and thank you, right? And I think Jeremy's, reasonable, and say, listen, you let us know who in that government, and then we get the Chinese affiliate that was willing to do this. We turn them in, and then now we have the leverage as a country, and eventually, no more bribes will henceforth come to the United States of America.
Well, I'm going to turn my head and look you right in the eyes and say, what has happened to your mind? That is the dumbest idea I have ever heard in my life. First of all, our congressman and our president will be too busy bribing foreign officials themselves.
But they won't
to do that.
But they won't get.
They'll be bribing China, in Russia, and the Ukraine. They're all in their bribery. It'll cancel out. It'll just explode in the middle. The bribers will meet halfway on the thing and just implode. It's.
But you're assuming that what we would bribe for our purposes. Let me ask you this:
so there's good bribes and bad bribes.
I think there is.
Is there good assassinations and bad assassinations?
Well,
but
I don't want to answer
let's put the CIA. Let's put the CIA next to the KGB.
I don't want to answer that question on radio
KGB,
at all.
CIA, right? Because, well, a lot of people think that Kennedy, that Castro, was part of the plot to kill Kennedy, and they said, hey, Castro just got him first. Kennedy tried to get Castro 3 times with poison cigars and this and that. I don't know if it's true, but what we've learned about the CIA since then, that wouldn't surprise me one bit. Why am I suddenly talking
like
Groucho Marx?
I don't know.
This is the first party I've ever been to. The beer's warm, the women are cold, and I'm getting out into the gala. There's a taxi waiting outside. Let me tell you, Guillermo, about that bribery scheme. I don't know. I just suddenly going, I don't even know what you just said. You want to take them, so you think that's going to take the temptation to get bribed out of the equation?
No, it will take the temptation to take the bribe out of the equation,
because you
turn them in.
You turn them in,
and you did the right thing.
And you think by turning them in, so what's going to stop an official that, say, somebody over in one of the stands, Kazakhstan, Kurdistan, whatever, get some bogus dude say, hey, I want you to go on tape here. Just send a phone call that you're trying to bribe me. How much? 50 million. He said, the 50 million, comrade. How about 100 million, comrade? Yes, 100 million. Then you go and you say, and it's all a bogus setup. You get paid because you turn the guy in. They'll never find the guy. Then you pay the guy from Kazakhstan.
Well, what if we intercept?
He gets 20% to be the setup guy.
It's got to be legit.
I'm going to say, well,
it's got to be legit.
How do you monitor that?
Well, this guy's sitting on the Burisma
because I'm now
board.
starting to believe you're serious about this
I'm
proposal.
very serious
about
God. it. I am so serious.
So you're really expecting me to come? I will poke more holes in that,
Alan,
than a cheese.
Alan,
huh?
This is the greatest. This is the greatest proposal, Alan. The other proposals. This is the best proposal.
Oh God, we won't even take it, Paul. Your millennial brethren would be
Jeremy. Yay or nay?
Okay.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
I've just sold him on it.
Gosh, oh Lord, you give them eyes, but they do not see. You give them ears, but they do not hear.
I just think we would have.
All right. All right. Speaking of bribes, let's talk about Menendez. And the note I sent you last night was this question I'd like to put to our listeners and our viewers. If you heard about Senator Menendez, who got his tit in a ringer a few years back on some bribery charges as well, and beat that rap with a hung jury. So he was, they're watching you, Bob.
Just a bit, buddy.
You're popping.
You know that car outside your house?
Yeah.
With the tinted windows?
And if you're gonna hide money, take some lessons from the mafia, not Joe Biden. Don't hide stuff you don't want people to find next to your Corvette or in your windbreaker. $500K inside your windbreaker and a gold bar. Where was it? Worth $100,000 somewhere. I think in his shoe.
Man.
So when the man came, there it was. So I'm not convicted. He says I'm innocent. This is bogus. So
sure.
Hey, with the way this administration comes after it, hey, you're innocent till proven guilty. I'm with that with Trump. I'm with that with anybody who's accused. I was there with the OJ. The evidence was overwhelming, and he should have been convicted. But I said, hey.
Oh, I thought you meant you were there with OJ.
No.
Okay.
But he did. He did a guest spot on Heat of the Night. That's a story in itself. 3 months after he beat up Nicole,
Really?
he came and did the show. Interesting little story there, because when he was in that Bronco, we were all watching. I said, he's going to kill himself. I know the guy he's going to preserve one person on this earth himself. And I'll tell you the story because it had to do with an episode of Heat of the Night. So now we got you all primed for that. But Menendez, don't you find it a little fishy? They've been investigating this guy now well over a year.
Mm-hmm.
They've known about the gold bars. They've known about the cash. They've known about the Mercedes.
Yeah.
And how ironically similar it is to the Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden got a Porsche. She got a Mercedes. He got the cash, wired to the shell company. He just got it delivered in the cold hard cash. A lot of similarities there. But why now? There's some people that believe, and I'm not saying I believe that, but I'm certainly willing to put it on the table and think about it before we just kind of throw away the key, because I'm a conservative guy. I'm a registered independent, but I'm a conservative guy. Guillermo's a Republican. A lot of Republicans, they're saying, hey, there's 2 tiers of justice out there. It's clearly on display with Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, and several other instances. Glaringly, you can see that there's 2 tiers of justice, one for Republicans, one for Democrats. And could this not be a show, some bogus show, to try to show Republicans and the country, of which the latest poll said over 60% of the people, Democrat and Republican, everybody together, CNN poll, believes Joe Biden had something to do with Hunter Biden's corruption, and that there is 2 tiers of justice. What better way to show that we go after Democrats just like we do Republicans by going after this dude and right now saying, look. And I'm thinking to myself that when it first broke, sure enough, that night, all over CNN, in particular, every talking head, that guy Andrew McCabe, what's he doing being a contributor to CNN?
Well, that's the reason why Tubin is still...
He interfered in elections. The guy's a criminal walking around free going, I hope this shows people that the Department of Justice goes after Republicans with an equal hand of justice. Justice is blind. Because we went after Menendez. What's your thoughts on that? Is that an off-the-wall concept?
It is all theatrical, Alan. It is all theatrical, and it is for that reason. So Joe Biden, when he's in it, if he ever debates anybody, can sit up there and say, the justice and the way it is being served, it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. Look at these cases of Democrats. Senator Menendez, my son. And look into the camera and say, I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump being indicted, it is fair. So, yeah, of course, it's all for show.
And what better way? If you're going to give, ultimately, which it looks like David Weiss is going to, although he's trying to put forth the image that he's not, going to give Hunter Biden what is equivalent to a slap on the wrist, the whole scheme of things. That tax evasion stuff that they let the statute of limitations run out, that's the kind of stuff that people go to jail for 20, 30 years. Okay. So they throw the book at Menendez. Mm-hmm. Put him away. This is what I predict. They're going to seek to just throw it, that he will never see the light of day. That's where they're going to go with him and say, look, here's what we do to Democrats. We're heavy-handed while they let Hunter Biden basically go scot-free and don't pursue anything against Joe Biden. That's what my gut feeling is telling me is happening here. Not that Menendez is a choir boy, but again, they had all this information for over a year and did nothing with Menendez. And also, does it make you wonder? Menendez has been very critical of the administration and the FBI on a lot of instances. I don't know where he stands on the Ukraine war, but Cuba, and there's several issues that he collided with the Democratic establishment and was kind of a little bit of a renegade. Of course, he was all on board on the impeachment and all the other stuff. I mean, I think he's the chairman of the Foreign Relations Affairs Committee. So
let me make one point very clear here. When you look at what's going on, everything is perfectly timed. Okay, the way the media presents their daily news and where they're going to go from here on until Election Day is it's as if it's a script. It's a Hollywood script. And when they want you to look at here, don't look there, because more than likely something else is going on somewhere else, even much bigger. And that is the problem with the 24-hour news cycle and our reliance. And Fox gets sucked up into it too. They're handling these big stories like, okay, fine. The guy took some gold bars, got some fancy schmancy cars. What in the heck does that have to do with me?
Was it a used Mercedes? Did you get a Scott Beale here, Mercedes?
I don't know. Is it a CarMax one or Scott Beale?
It looked like an old Mercedes. Where he shows, come on, Bob, you got to sell out.
Yeah, right. You sell out.
Use Guillermo's, turn them in and get yourself, high-end rolls.
Well, that's my point number one. My second point is, right now, would you say that the Department of Justice is looking at every member of Congress right now?
Oh, gosh.
And especially any member on the right.
Oh.
And any impropriety, anything. Does this mean that every Republican and most of the Democrats that aren't being investigated are that squeaky clean?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. And I think this is meant to be a message to both Republicans and Democrats.
But is it
if you step out of line against us, unless you fall in line and you don't stand up and don't support this Biden inquiry, this impeachment thing, and rail against it, if you don't, we're going to come at you. We're going to use every weapon we have against whomever. I mean, this administration is out of control in how it is weaponized, and which begs the question, it is like a script. Who's writing the script? Because there's sequel after sequel, and who's directing the movie?
Well, nobody, because they're on strike.
Well, I think there is. I think there's a small cabal. We just I think the writer said the script. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's a small group, obviously. The Bible says you judge a tree by the fruit it bears. And this administration is bearing one kind of fruit. Woke. Rotten woke fruit. You won't see a bipartisan fruit grow on this tree at all. You won't see anything. You won't see a traditional liberal fruit being grown from this tree. All you're seeing is the defund the police, open borders, deficits. They're doing this. People say they don't know what they're doing. Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are pulling the strings on the puppet, the Joe Biden puppet, the Geppetto pulling the strings on Pinocchio, is this cabal of woke left folks that, either names, I don't know. Well, we have Rice, like the gal that worked with Barack Obama. You've had, that's influenced him quite a bit. But it's definitely not. Well, and I think Joe Biden is a more willing participant than people think. He was never, you look at his history, he was never a middle of the road conservative Democrat.
Yeah.
He was always finger to the wind. What's going to get me elected? Oh, hey, crime's out of control. I'm going to author a crime bill. I don't want my kids to be raised in a racial jungle. All this stuff. Okay, now it's cool to let people get bailed out of prison, out of jail that have committed violent crimes. I'm all for that because, that's the woke movement. That's the tail that's wagging the dog right now. And I don't want to be waved out of office.
I think he's more with it than I think he wants to lead on.
I think he's a more willing participant. I do too. I think they're not forcing Joe Biden to do this crazy stuff. They let 8 million people in that we don't know into this country. and you're going over to Niger because you're worried about Shabab, Al-Shabaab. You know what Al-Shabaab is? That's the offspring of Al-Qaeda fighting this over there in Africa. And we are so scared that Al-Qaeda is going to reconstitute, okay, everywhere because the data coming in is irrefutable. Al-Qaeda's on the move again. Yet you have a president who sits up there, looks us right in the eye, and says, MAGA, people that went that protested at the Capitol, those that went in, and they shouldn't have done that. But perspective? Goodness gracious, to look at the American people and expect us to believe those people are a bigger threat to our national security than Al-Qaeda? They're liable to blow up something more, to do a 9/11 type event than Al-Qaeda, when Iran has the most sophisticated drones in the world. And let me tell you, the next big terrorist attack is going to be by drone. And I may be wrong, and I'll eat my words if I am. I don't think it's going to be a drone built in Natchez, Mississippi, launched by some toothless redneck that's kicked off at the government. Yeah. I just don't think. Now, that's just my own personal opinion.
And if we can't capture a balloon over our sovereign borders, there's no way we're going to capture a drone in time.
Well, did you hear what happened in Canada?
No.
Well, Justin Trudeau, he called out Modi, the Indian Prime Minister over there. Well, the fellow was killed, assassinated. I think I have his name here. The Indian activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, India activist, was killed, slain in Canada. And in the meeting that they just had over there in India with the big wigs of all the countries, Justin Trudeau basically got in his face and said, "Hey, our intelligence says that you did this." Modi's going, "What? Yeah, I didn't pull that stuff. Putin does. I didn't do that." And then yesterday it broke. Guess where Canada got its intelligence for this? The United States of America intelligence gathering.
Great.
Okay, the same intelligence that told Biden, just go ahead and withdraw. They're going to do it peacefully. No problem withdrawing out of Afghanistan. We have no intelligence gathering capabilities around the world anywhere near what we used to. Let me ask you this, though. That's going to bother me. Because you said something when you explained what you just explained a minute ago. You said something, you prefaced it with a statement that's often used, and I like it. You said, "Let me be clear." Or something. And you said, "Let me be clear." Mm-hmm. And you proceeded to explain something, and I understood it. Why, when Karine Jean-Pierre says, "Let me be clear," and what follows is something I have no idea what she said for that next 2-3 minutes, and with Joe Biden, now let me be clear about this. When I hear that, I just say, well, I might as well go throw a pita pocket in the microwave because I'm not going to understand anything for the next 3 minutes. Have you noticed that? Sincerely, just say, "Let me be clear," and like they know they're not going to be clear. They're not going to answer the question, and they're going to do some gobbledygook.
She's good, Alan.
Oh, she's horrible.
You have to be a certain.
I mean, explain. I don't know. As a person, she's probably a great person.
No. To do what she does, and she does it every day. Essentially, what she does, that's an art. Not to answer questions, to pretty much go around. She's not doing that. You think she's doing that intentionally?
To be an art, you got to go, man, that was slick. That was kind of nice. You know who did that well? It was Clinton. He could stop around, not answer a question, ended up, and say something. You go, he didn't answer my question, but man, that was beautiful.
That's so true.
Yeah, Barack Obama, same thing.
Yeah.
Me. Oh, that's where they got it. How many times? Oh gosh, I figured it out.
See,
They're all trying to be Obama. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
How about this? You do a great Obama.
Let me be clear.
And he would go and say nothing or say something totally not off, and you're satisfied with it because it was said so beautifully and so poetic. But they're not poets. They're not. It's not a beautiful thing. You just, she's what we used to call a patsy.
Well,
she's up there. She says, "Go lie the best you can," and let's face it, she's not good at what she does in terms of press secretary. If anybody, but that's all they got. Who is clamoring over each other, tripping over each other to be the press secretary for Joe Biden?
Nobody. 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 But let me pivot there because I think it's a good segue. Who are the Democrats gonna take out there to talk about their message in 2024?
Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, and it's Gavin Newsom. I don't know what Cuomo is on some news outlet now. Chris Cuomo, and
he's more in the middle now.
Yeah, did you see that? He was interviewing Gavin Newsom, and he was hitting Gavin Newsom with the hard questions. Yeah. He actually was. And Gavin Newsom, when they talked about messaging, and this is why I think Gavin Newsom would wipe the floor with Ron DeSantis. Do you see it now?
No.
Alan, after Ron's first, okay,
you
wait.
Right. He'll get the best.
All right. So Newsom's
scared.
But Newsom admitted, he said, that the Republicans have cornered us, and they've made us the recipients of CRT, and he kept naming these things, and he said we got to outmessage them.
Yeah, but they can't.
With the person,
that's why in long-term debate he loses. Inspiring with a soundbite, Newsom wins because he looks good, throws out the soundbite. We got to stand by our democratic principles that have led this country into prosperity. We have to have the courage to stand by them. Okay, stand by them. Tell us why CRT is great. He'll meander and slip around he can't do it. I've watched him. Watched him. He cannot explain CRT. He'll try to slip away. DeSantis is too good at closing escape routes.
Well,
and Hannity is going to let him do that. Going to let him go after and make Gavin Newsom tell us why defunding the police was the right thing to do. And they was going to say, I don't think it's the right thing. Well, why didn't you speak up forcefully when they were talking about it? He has no answer to that. Well, I did. No, you didn't.
You might be right. You might be right.
I can't wait for. Well, that's what DeSantis needs. He needs a big performance to get back in the game.
Yeah, he does.
Because right now he's on the rope, throwing the dope. Man. Folks, thank you for tuning in. God bless you. God bless Americans. Do best. Let God do the rest. And we'll see you on Taco Tuesday. You don't want to miss that show. Love y'all. Bye-bye now.
Just sing a song.